Alright guys, today we're going to build a mealworm farm, and it's super simple. I just wanted to walk you guys through some simple steps that have saved me some time. I got my mealworms from Uncle Jim's Worm Farm. Super stoked on that website. They sell worms for super cheap. And the base is wheat bran, which is a product that we use to supplement our mushrooms with. So it's a really easy product for us to get. We get it from Mountain Mama Milling or Gosar Natural Foods. And it is their bedding. And this is the bedding from last year. And what this is mealworm poop, which is known as frass, and it's a really amazing fertilizer. So first I want to show you guys how to sift all this frass out. And it's really just as simple as running it through a strainer and getting out all the old stuff. And what we're doing is separating the frass from the beetles right now. And then we can feed all these dead beetles to our chickens or just throw them in the compost, whatever. But the main thing is that we needed to clean out this old worm bin and then put some new bedding in. So that's what we're doing right now. Cool. Like I mentioned, their bedding is wheat bran, super cheap and super simple to get. The main thing that you want to be careful with your worm bin is that you want nothing to be wet, and they just hate being in wet environments, for one. But two, the most important part is that you want to prevent mold happening within your colony. So keep things dry for your mealworms, because that's what they're going to like. So once your wheat bran is down, all you have to do is add your worms. Go ahead. All right.
Right, guys.
Watch them move around and wiggle. And they're gonna eat through this wheat bran. But one other thing that we want to supplement them with for food is just 1 to 2 slices of potatoes every other day. And it's really important to remove your old potatoes once they are kind of drying out, or once they've run through their food source, because once again, you do not want mold to grow in these worm bins. For this, we're growing worms. We're not growing mushrooms. So just keep your bedding dry, which will keep your worms happy.
Use San Luis Valley grown potatoes too, with local wheat bran for hyper local worms.
And this is the worm tower right here. Super simple, just an old recycled shoebox. All right, we're just gonna add half of this bag into here. Good job. All right, so we've started this next layer, next colony, and we'll move down to this last one here. Go ahead, bud. All right. And it's as simple as that. And we're gonna feed them, like I said, about 1 to 2 slices of potatoes every other day.
This one.
And that is in its worm stage. They have 3 different stages. There's the pupa stage, there's the larvae stage that they're in now, and then there is the beetle stage, and these will turn into darkling beetles over time, which you can then sift out and feed to your chickens. There's some old potatoes in here, which is not ideal, but the chickens love the beetles, they love the larvae, and they love the pupa. So you can feed them whatever. All right, one last thing that we do is add a tube for some worm playtime, because we want our worms to play too.
Let me put some. Let me put this one in. Easily, guys.
No.
All right, now you're a certified worm wrangler. So one other super important thing to remember is that this wheat bran, especially if you're buying it at big box stores, needs to be pasteurized, because a lot of wheat bran comes with grain mites, and grain mites are one of your #1 enemies besides moisture with these worm towers. If you get overran by mold, you're gonna have to dump your worms, and if you get overran by grain mites, you're basically gonna have to restart your entire colony. So pasteurizing this wheat bran for maybe roughly 30 to 45 minutes in the oven at around 150. That can be pretty rough. You can kind of do it in whatever way that you see fit. That's what I do though. I turn my oven to 150 and then I just pasteurize this for a couple of hours, and that reduces all of the grain mites so that we don't run into that issue. There are ways to destroy the grain mites, but it is very time consuming and labor intensive. So it's best honestly just to dump your worms if you get overran by grain mites. And the grain mites you will see start to crawl up. They're this like kind of white powdery looking substance that starts to crawl up the sides here, and they are very, very hard to eradicate. So it's important just to try to remediate those from the beginning.
Let me see them.
Cool.
Let me see the ones that are doing.
Okay, so this is how we feed them. We feed them these nice San Luis Valley grown potatoes because we have an amazing potato production down here in the San Luis Valley. And we just give them about 2 to 3 slices per container. Since we have larger colonies, we'll give them 3 slices. Go ahead and place it in there. Good job. And they will devour those over the next day or two, and then we will pull them out and replace them with other slices of potatoes. But very cheap and easy food source for them. Go ahead. Good job. One last thing that I wanted to mention about your worm bin is that you can feed them other things besides potatoes. You can feed them apples or all sorts of different things. I really do like to feed them potatoes because they're cheap and they're local to us. But the last thing that I did want to mention is that their optimal temperature is 80 degrees. They will proliferate very, very fast around 80 degrees. But they can get down to very cold temps as well. They're super hardy. If you can keep your bin around like 60 to 80 degrees, it's pretty optimal. Once they start reaching 90 degrees, they start getting pretty unhappy. So once this greenhouse starts to heat up a lot more, I'm probably gonna pull him inside. Oh yeah, you can tell he's already stoked on the potato.
Yeah, he's trying to eat it.
And if they get down to around like 40 or 50 degrees, they're going to slow down their processes dramatically and not be as happy. But they won't die unless they're getting below freezing. So yeah, optimal range is roughly like 60 to 80 degrees for them is what I've noticed. And that's all it takes. They're pretty passive, super fun.
Hello, guys.
And they're also a great source of protein for your chickens. So if you're trying to get some cheaper mealworms than you can find at the store, this is a great way to propagate your own. Thanks for watching. All right, once all your beetles are sifted out of your frass, you can just feed them to your chickies. Go ahead. Beetle buffet.